It is with particular pleasure and great honor that we host tonight a wonderful musician, a marvelous human being with a heart of gold, a dear old friend, the amazing, great lady of the guitar world, Raphaella Smits. It's always my pleasure.
I all could use the same words for you.
Oh, yes, well, it's my turn. Good night. So, well, I have prepared an endless list here, but, and I have to admit this is, I'm not a reporter and I don't know how to make interviews, but I will try my best. Because originally this whole idea of these 3 webinars that ended up not being webinars was to coming out of the second lockdown and feeling in all of us the desperate need of inspiration. And when I search for inspiration, I look towards you. You're around the corner. And it's true, and we go way back. The other day on the telephone we counted 40 years, but I think we exaggerated.
Yes, you do.
So I have to say though, because I have to say this, it's just in a way it's my way also to thank you. That I remember when I started touring the United States at the end of the 90s, there were like every corner, people would say from Arizona to Cleveland, you really should meet Raphaella Smits. Okay. And absolutely you will get really well along. So, okay. So absolutely, okay. So thank goodness Nicholas Golusis invited us both to this summer festival in Eastman, Rochester.
We had so much fun.
And it was love at first note and first laugh. And that was 20 years ago.
Yes.
So thank goodness for Nicholas, and that was a friendship that basically brought me here to Brussels. So thank you again, thank you every 5 years, just celebrating 15 years at conservatory, 17 years ago. Thank you, Raphaella.
Thank you.
So when we looked for inspiration, and it was that I came along your last recording, I thought that this is absolutely something that I should bring to my students. And we should have you. And I would really like to talk a little bit about that fabulous, absolutely excellent last recording of Raphaella, the Vienna concert, music of Smits and Schubert. So, may I ask you the genesis of it, the birth of it, because if I look back at your CDs and I remember Smits is not a stranger to you. You've been playing all your life, recording Smits all your life. So how did you decide to once more walk in the studio and record Smits?
Well, yeah, the second I decided was when I was teaching a master class in Chicago.
Ah, there you go, America again.
Yes, and there was a small girl and she played romanza or something like that, or evening song, or I don't recall. And I was teaching her, and on that moment I realized by coaching her how beautiful that small little piece was. And I said, do you hear how similar this is to Schubert? And I made some comparison with the cycle of Schubert songs and took out some fragments and played it on my guitar, and then played the Nerds together with her. And so on that second, I thought, that's some time ago, I have to do the Nerds recording. In between my last Nerds and this Nerds are many, many years. Huh?
Right, it's true. The last Smits was the duo.
Was the duo, yes. And that's all already, I don't know, 7 or 6
yes, that's
years
7 years easily.
Yes.
I don't have I'm not good with dates, so I don't remember, but I was there, but it hasn't been more than 7 years.
And the very first one was in 86.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so my very first recording was Giuliani Nerds. That was just after the competition time.
Yes. And this one,
yes.
It's spectacular. I'm looking at her. It is absolutely divine. I mean, I can actually do a publicity here, which is very, very well deserved. So I could say, first of all, what I thought when I heard it, which was, first of all, everything that I love about Raphaella was there. The impeccable phrasing, the deep musicianship, the attention to detail, the gorgeous sound, the polyphony of her instruments. I mean, I can go on. And I can also say a few things that I just found of the last review. So basically, I sell you the album, and you don't walk in my classroom without having it. It's a good present for your Christmas, actually. Yes, no, it's a present to oneself as a musician, a beautiful CD. I think so. So, for you that understand French, Danielle Ribouillot, that is an old friend, and she was in charge of the Cahiers de la Guitare, no? So, as a reporter, covered many, many festivals. Elle était transportée par cette beauté du jeu, raffinement extrême, cette musicalité si poignante. And I think that it's absolutely excellently said. And something else that I found that I thought it was really wonderful also and very, very true. Yes, because one hear Metz and think of virtuosity, which, yes, there is, but is not for it. And so the next review, I think, is even better in the sense that says this necessary virtuosity is here completely transparent, swept away under the elegant playing of Raphaella Smits. And I think this is absolutely true too.
Who said it?
Guitar classique.
Okay.
Laurent de Lucet. You should read your reviews, Raphaella. You should keep them on your, bathroom mirror and just every morning, feel better.
No, I think it's true. It is very beautiful, and I selected, except for 5 minutes, I selected other pieces than in the previous 3 recordings.
Yes, absolutely.
And that alone is something to learn, that one composer has composed so much of beautiful music and quite different.
Yes.
And because you said when or why, so let's say in the first etape of my career, when I was not even 30.
Young and beautiful.
Young and beautiful.
You're still young and beautiful, but different kind of young and
not so young and not so beautiful.
Yeah, well, we'll continue,
But, so then it was the time that you think, I have to do, no, I don't have to do, but it was my philosophy. You never do a recording because you want to be in the spotlight. So I wanted to do a recording because I wanted to put the spotlight on one of the composers that I barely knew before. That's another story. Oh, it's a very beautiful story.
Come on.
It's a beautiful story about
yes.
New York. So after my New York debut in 1981, wow. There was a really old master who came, Macaferri. Probably you don't know him anymore, but Macaferri was from the generation of Segovia and an incredible player from Italy. He was a big master. And he, after the second war, he went to New York and he started a company to build ukuleles and violins. But he still was a master in playing. And so he came to the concert. I didn't know he was still alive, because he's really very old. So I met him when he was already in his 90s. Right? And coincidence was that he was a very good friend of the Dadarios. Every one of you knows the Daddario String Company. And the Dadarios were sponsoring my first concert in the United States. And so Jim Daddario, the director, he saw Mario Macaferri and we had so much fun. I'm not going to tell why, but it was really very funny. I can say it very short. He didn't believe I was the concert player. And because I looked next to him I was very small, and on stage I looked very tall. So he thought I was the sister. And said, no, I really was, it was me who was playing. playing, and I showed him my right hand with my nails, you know, and then he said, "Oh, fantastic, so great to meet you. I'm Mario Macaferri." And I thought, he's so funny. I said, "Really? But he's dead since many years."
Oh my goodness, Raphaella.
And so that was the second we were laughing. And so Jim Daddario, who saw us, and he said, "You get along very well, so let's have dinner together tomorrow night." And so Mario Macaferri, he came to dinner. I cooked for the whole family, Italian family, of course. And so we had dinner together, and after dinner he said, "Can I see your guitar?" So I gave him my guitar, and he loses the 8th and 7th string, sat down and started to play. It was, in my humble opinion, it was fantastic. It was a miracle. And so he's playing, and I didn't know what he was playing really. And I said, "Wow, maestro, this is fantastic." And to be honest, I liked it better than Segovia's playing. And I told him, and of course, big smile, because those were two concurrents. And then he said, "You don't know those pieces, those are by Johann Caspar Merz." And that was before Chanterelle made the edition, but I knew it was in the making. And so then I contacted the director of Chanterelle, and I asked him if there was any way to get the scores, and that was my first recording of Smits. So you see, sometimes it's a coincidence how you find your music somehow.
Sure, of course, in the most strange situations and really coincidences.
Yes. And then, of course, you make a selection of pieces that you think, in a short term, I will play it as excellent as possible. And then time passes, and then you think, I can do another selection. And so now I had the feeling, if I do another recording, I want to do the pieces that I thought that I was not capable to play.
Right.
And that's why it's a very different selection. And thanks to the lockdown, I had a lot of time, and I could go into the virtuosity in a certain kind, but because Merz is always sounding so, it should sound easy and fluid, but you have a million of notes.
Yes, exactly.
And you don't have a million of important notes, and that's the trick.
That's what makes Merz difficult to bring on stage, actually to interpret him. And there now, it's great that our conversation, even though we go like that, we're just keeping my idea. Just kidding. No, it's not my idea. It's just, it also comes, your idea, from the cover notes and goes hand in hand with the selection of the instruments. And the fact that you play gut strings, and you're not a gut string player, that I wouldn't say that this is what you're known for. Nevertheless, you have the guts to put gut strings on and do a recording on a Merkur guitar, going as close as possible. And through a research that every performer and every artist does at the end of time, at the end of all things. So tell us a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about the choice of the guitar. Yes, there was no choice. I mean, you play this music on that guitar, yet we know Merz music on the normal contemporary guitar on nylon strings. But tell us a little bit about this part of the research and how that connected you even more with the soul of the music itself.
Absolutely. Because there is quite some things are, how to say, they will come out differently on a different instrument. Already, the instruments that we have here in the classroom are very different. And so, but more different is an instrument from the early 19th century into comparison with what we normally play in. And I will just use an expression of one of my former teachers. He's a piano player. And when I called him about this instrument that I bought quite some years ago, I said, "Wow, I found this guitar." And he said, "You don't find the guitar, these instruments, they do find you." And I think there is a truth in it.
Yes, because I believe in that.
Yes, Of course, people, they knew I was looking for that type of guitar, but I didn't really find it. I was in Germany and someone brought it to my hotel and asked if I was interested. And I thought, well, it's not a max, but it was not very expensive and let me try. And anyway, it's very beautiful and I didn't have that type of guitar. And so then it ended up that that guitar was forgotten in the case, as you know.
Yeah.
And so nobody played before. In 150 years, nobody played that instrument. It was just in the case, somewhere in a castle.
For guitars like that should be, in the castle.
Yes. And so what I didn't like about was because it was new. It was all new. It was not played in. And so after 6 months, it became, and it still is one of the best instruments ever built. Yeah,
and I had the chance to hear actually the Merz program on my last concert before the first lockdown, because I was in your house when you were, the beginning of things basically of that project.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
So
that was a real tryout, which I recommend, of course, to everyone. It's like a master class. It's exactly the same as playing a concert before that you know or you hope to know that everything could be perfect.
Yeah.
Right? So it's before that, but that moment before is also very inspirational because you learn a lot, because you feel, I thought I could play it, but still it's not so fantastic. But also sometimes by doing it for other people, you give it special force and you get it a new beauty. And then after I started to practice, because there was not much more to do than to teach the students that could have classes and you couldn't go out, there was no holiday. And I thought it was a good moment to do that Merz recording with pieces that I knew they existed, but because some of those pieces, not all of them, but some of the pieces on that recording, I never would play on a normal guitar. It would lose so much of the cantabile, of the transparency, of the different layers. Also, because you spoke about gut strings, especially for the first two strings.
Right.
What is really special is that the gut has a harder tension than a nylon. If you put on an old guitar that big tension with nylon, it sounds plastic and dead. So, or you put low tension, and you have to be very careful not for buzzing notes. Or, I finally tried gut again, because I tried it before, but it was not, perhaps I was not capable on that moment to have I don't know. I was too lazy to get into the
maybe
feeling
the patience, the time to find your sound in the gut.
Because you have to shape your hands a little bit different, and then to find that in a certain angle that you play on the gut string, you really can play loud, extremely loud, and it never buzzes because it's kind of thin. And but because of its kind of thing, it's also easy to get bad sonority. So it's always double. And you need some time and courage to do it. Also, I needed to convince myself that it would be possible to play in a bigger hall, and it is possible. Now I know it. But those things sometimes you doubt when you are practicing for a concert. How is it going to sound elsewhere? My Gilbert is like a bomb, as you could hope here. It's so huge, but it has a different kind of projection. So it goes very far and very fast. Mm-hmm. So you can play extremely light, and still it doesn't sound like losing contact.
Right.
And this is something that was for me really new and so beautiful. So there is one of the pieces, the Fantasie Originale, with a beautiful tremolo. Mm-hmm. And you can just almost no touch, and you still hear this tick, tick, tick. It's so fun. It's fabulous. It's like on that moment when I was, I wanted to say, that's the truth, I was teaching myself, and it's exactly that. So my teacher was there, the guitar, the music, the new strings, and just teach yourself till you think, yeah, that's my teacher will like. Because you want always in whatever you do, you want to do it as good as possible. So if Mertz wrote this music, and if I want to make sure that the public likes it, I must love it.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And I cannot play it like, oh yeah, but it's only 19th century. No, I need to play it like, wow, this is 19th century music.
Yes.
So, yes.
Or that you were alive in 19th century, and this is your music right there, happening with the same conviction.
Yes, yes.
I mean, it's absolutely true that whatever you play right here, it has to be 150% with you inside.
And then,
Otherwise-
what was really remarkable and beautiful as well, some years ago I did a lecture on 19th century instruments. I think you were there, it was in not so far from here, in the Abdij van
I wasn't there, I would remember.
No, okay. And so I brought my collection into and I spoke about it and how I prepared it, and now I'm coming back soon to what I just did last month. But so I prepared it with letters by Makarov. And it was almost sinister, because every instrument that Makarov was describing, I had it in my room. And so I just could tell about the letters and about the traveling of Makarov, who did the very first guitar competition in this hall.
Wow.
Yes.
That I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's perfectly planned, actually. The
And
Koninklijk Conservatorium of
It's
Brussels.
incredible. No, it's touching, huh?
It's amazing,
Yes.
actually. It's
And
amazing.
who won this competition? Johann Kasparov.
Right here.
He won, but he was ill on that moment. Well, he won and he became ill, and he didn't survive the illness, so they couldn't give him the first prize, but he got the first prize. And the second one in the row, who was somehow second and became then the first, was Napoleon Postel. Yeah? And so it was a competition for composers who could play the instrument. And if you look to both of their music, you can see they can play the instrument. And both of them have a different kind of virtuosity, but both of them are, in their generation, they are genius.
That's absolutely amazing,
Yes.
actually. So.
Yeah. And so Johann Caspar Mertz, in his time, he was playing a lot. It's also the time of Mauro Giuliani, as you know. And he was different than everyone else. Let's say he was more to the direction of Schubert, Schumann, all those, the big piano scores. His wife was a very fine piano player. Also the reason that he wrote some very nice duos for guitar and pianoforte. And this very virtuosic music, most of it, which I think probably all of those pieces are on the recording, they were not edited during his lifetime, because just like nowadays, you had a million of guitar players, very much mediocre, a few fantastic, but so he was very pretentious, and he said, I'm not going to make an edition of those works, because I'm the one who is going to perform it, and if someone else is going to perform it, it's probably going to lose the charm of what I want in this kind of music. And so most of it was edited posthume, also because the few pieces virtuosic which were in the edition, it was with okay, the name will come back, one of the very well-known Diabelli house, editing house. They were not sold because he was right, nobody could play it.
Them, right?
And so the edition house, Diabelli, they said, well, make a new edition and make it more simple so that people can play it. And he did for a couple of those pieces, of those big concert pieces, he wrote a second format, like okay, I will take away the million of notes and just make the shape and a different introduction.
So basically that's elegy, for instance.
Yes.
Right? With an introduction that I personally have never heard
Yes.
before.
Yes.
What you have on your, and it's fabulous actually. It's
Yes.
really gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, the truth must be said. Everybody knows here I make no compliments, but I will not keep one if I have it, so there is no way. So, well, I don't know how to continue now, but, yes. Well, it was a question that comes very often, especially with young players, and comes very often up in our business courses in Volterra, is something I also mentioned to you, whether you feel comfortable discussing, is one more CD in a world that doesn't like any more CDs, in a world where record companies prefer to go digital, etc., etc. I mean, I have my personal answer for myself, but one more CD. Tell me.
Yeah, well, it's. I will give a double answer. One more CD. It's because I know I have my age, so I'm not going to be able to do perhaps I don't know, but perhaps I'm not going to be able to do one more CD in 10 years. So just do it as long as you can do. So that was my first.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's the truth. It's not to be honest, it's really not to have another CD. This is my number 23 solo CD, and I've quite some more in chamber music, but it's more, yeah, I don't know. It's even not to prove myself because I don't need it.
No, that's why I'm discussing it, because to me there is the essence of why one more recording of an established artist with already a big discographical line.
Yeah, I know.
To me, we're getting to the essence actually, that has nothing to do with numbers and companies and sales and fashions.
Because the time that, I must say, that there was long time ago, it was normal. If you were successful, you could sell between 5 and 15,000 CDs. Now you can be happy if you can sell 500. And there are many artists who sell much less than 500. So it is, that's not the reason. It's not to, that's really not the reason. So I think I came back to the first reason when I did my first recording. It's because of the composer, and because of the music, and because of my empathy that I really love to share the music.
Which is the essence.
Yes. Of everything.
What we're doing.
Yes, of communication, And we spoke about that, or perhaps we didn't, but you know that I think like that. Language is like, music is like a language, and not just a musical language. It is a language to communicate. And of course, you can find that in every book, and they say, it's a universal language, and you don't have to be Latin, but that's really not what I mean. It's a language that you can communicate on every level, on a different kind of intelligence, but always involved with communication and emotion.
Which is the first language,
Absolutely.
which goes right to the root, which is emotions.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's it.
Yeah. And I guess I found myself ready for that language, and I think I understand the language better now than 40 years ago. And
it's wonderful.
Yeah, and so I had something like, let me share it, but I don't think it's my last recording.
Well, I hope not. I do hope not. I absolutely hope not.
Yeah.
I look forward, to this beautiful line of wonderful comments, and to also what I felt on the top of what I just said that I felt. For me was, when I said I fell in love with the first notes of that concert 20 years ago, then I was, crazy about the Manjon album. And for me, still to the day, is one of my absolute favorite albums. Apart from the sound, it was also composed I did not know. So it was like a wow, champagne, erupted, and it was amazing. And so, looking back, I said, how is it possible? She can get even better. And yet here it is. You got even better. But so that's great. Yeah. I mean, it is the future, So there is an evolution through a life of an artist.
But also with Manchon, one of the reasons was the instrument,
which takes us down also the sound.
Again, the sound. Music is sound.
Personally, I think that we really have to protect and stand for the guitar sound,
Absolutely.
the real, with no compromises on recordings, because these days, especially with COVID, what I see is a lot of, and we're going to get problems if we ever put this online, a lot of fast, cheap, not completely hybrid kind of productions where the sound is not right.
That's very strange.
And I mean, the charm of our instrument is the sound. If there is anything about the classical guitarist, in my opinion, number one is the sound. Is this amazing sound that if it is compromised when you record it, and then that's the end.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, we are now in the last months. Sometimes I could hear something, and then I knew, that's recorded by, I will not say who. And it was always right. Why? Because the one who was recording put his stamp on it. It was not anymore the stamp of the player's choice. It is just the machine like, and what he or she likes will come out. Whoever is playing, it's like a big sauce on everyone.
Exactly.
And that's such a pity. And that is another reason why I really like to have this nostalgic CD or LPs. I'm still the generation of LPs.
Yes, I am the generation of LPs.
Yeah. And even there were people asking, are you not going to put it on LP? I said, I'm not sure. That's so difficult to send.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, that's fragile.
That's fragile. Indeed.
Yeah, but so it is also just the fact that you open the booklet and that you can read some thoughts of the one who is playing about the music or about how you feel about music or the instrument or photo or whatever it is, or the instrument.
It's an artistic product.
Yes,
it's all of it, and it should stand the standards at least of the player, of the artist. Is what you said before about the sound. If it's the sound that you really like, then that's fine. If it's a sound that even a little bit is not agreeing with your taste or your aesthetics, then just don't give up until you get it.
Yes.
I mean, I had discussions like, but why do you want to go even change it a little bit more? They're going to hear it in the car. Well, I don't care where they're going to hear it. I mean, if I'm not happy with how it sounds, I will never.
It's your responsibility.
Yeah, of course, it's just.
And this is something
going
especially
down.
for you who will be doing all this in the future. I think we always have to do the maximum that we can. And if we have the ability to do it perfect, we have to do it perfect. If we can't, then that's a good excuse. So if you do something, and earlier today I said, so I don't think it's a perfect solution. Do you think? Yes, yeah, I think so. So, and does it work sometimes? Yeah, sometimes. Well, that's not enough. So we have to find the technique and the solutions and the sound that we have as ideal to come as close as possible in what we are doing. And of course, yeah, if people, well, I have a very good, okay, this is funny. I bought a new car, and you know why? Because it has such
because
a
it's
good...
red.
No, because it has such a good audio.
Well, that is a good reason. I think this, the car company should actually take a note.
Yes, but it's really true, huh? So I took the best version because the audio is fabulous. And I regret everyone who has only a mediocre or just listening on the computer, because it's really different.
Yeah.
Even if you have the best player on the computer, it will not sound like it should.
Yeah.
And
But that's a problem of our times, I
Yes.
think. It's a problem, I mean, we, the older ones, come from a generation that, you know, this aesthetic of sound and the training, the LPs, the big casts, how do you say, the big speakers, the salon, you know. It's different now. Everything is, if it's a computer, we're lucky. It's a telephone. I mean, and there's nothing, everything is lost. So your life is lost. You strive for sound, and you sell it to someone that is not even closely educated to even understand the difference. And that is an issue. I hope we're not going to reside in this fashion for too long, but
no,
it can't be, I mean, because it's inhuman. I mean, it's not possible.
Yeah.
But you can't, I mean, you really can't. You can't just, you know, go lower your high aesthetic level just to fit in. You
That
better
would be
not
such
to
a
fit in my opinion. It's better to always be outside.
Yeah. Oh, it would be such a pity if we lose all these qualities again. Eh? Because we had to fight to find those qualities, because the way to make recordings was like 40 years ago was very difficult to find engineers who were willing to go in that perfection. It was rather exceptional. And then there is a whole period that you have the best recordings, and now it seems like, yeah, so
Whatever.
yeah, it doesn't really matter. And I think we may not lose that responsibility, because it's not for you, but for coming after you.
Yeah.
That's
You're still the
most
lucky
important.
ones. You know, you have a leg to a good sound.
Yes.
But no, I mean, if I look at my children, if I don't insist, then they will never know, and that is terrifying. Actually, to me, that is terrifying.
And it's something that we have to learn as well.
Yeah, it's like you to eat fast food, you know, for the rest of the human race. How horrible.
There was one, I can see you have that in your hands.
Question.
There was one expression which it blew me away, and I found that really funny.
Le café.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
This is so fun.
But it's all in French, so I will read it, because I found that one, I really liked it. So, my French is horrible. Anyway, un lyricisme très personnel, des plans de nuances cantabile à nuit, sur une guitare et un toucher. C'est comme pour le café. Délicat et puissant.
That I like very much. Délicat et puissant. So delicate and
powerful.
strong. Yes.
Powerful, yeah.
And I think it's exactly what I want.
Well, you got it.
Yes. But I think that's what music is about. It's delicate and strong, because only delicate is girlish and only strong is
We
macho.
should be careful to be politically correct, you know. Then, maybe, you know, I don't care about these things, but some. So, but to get what we want, maybe that phrase will jump to the next. I want a single seat in that hall, packed. Next concert, this should be full.
Yes.
I really want that this COVID will not take us to live stream. I really want that it doesn't mean the end of the performing arts. And I really don't want to play for every other seat in the hall.
Oh, yes.
I want to feel the breath, and I want it back. And we will, I hope we will, but how do you feel about that? How do you think this whole, you were highly productive through this quarantine. I was highly productive with my husband coaching our kids through the school year, because that was just all on us. But
to be honest, I think it was a really difficult period. To start with, not especially for me, also for me, but not especially for me, but especially for the students.
yeah. And for the upcoming generation, I mean, what do we hand over? It's just a no hope, no future, no plans.
But on the other hand, also we could learn that you always have black and white, of course. And so I realized how lucky I am, you know. So a lot of energy went to my students, really, to support them, to give them strength, not to give up, to give them every minute inspiration and not desolation, and not being feeling isolated, and that's how they felt it as well. So it was really like, I even didn't know that the students could be so grateful, because it was the first time in their lifetime that they expressed their thankfulness.
Yeah.
And but so it was really energy consuming, and in summertime I was close to a depression, really. I didn't see the light anymore, and to do a recording was taking me out.
Yeah.
But even to go to the studio, I had a lot of fever, and when I wanted to check in, they took my fever and they said, you have over 38 and 7 or something. I said, really? But you know, I don't have fever. No, but I said, no, I don't have fever.
To the Zavent and people, you try to explain that?
No, I was explaining it in the hotel, because they didn't want to let me in. But I said, really, I don't have fever. This is just because of traveling and because of, I was so excited. And, and I could
so this
tell
is artist's COVID. You know, there is a new COVID, which is the artist's COVID.
No, but it was the truth. I mean, I was so over nervous. And then when I was in the train to Amsterdam, I got this message like, you cannot go on the plane without this QR number. You have to ask a QR number to Spain, to the government, and it only takes 48 hours. But my plane was going in 2 hours. I said, okay. So it was really too, I was on the edge. I thought, there we go. So, but I arrived in Spain with kind of fever, but it was not real fever. But there I could tell, you are not okay, you know, because everything was really difficult. You know? And lucky us that we still had some things to do in project, because the concerts are cancelled, still are cancelled.
Yeah.
Mine are cancelled still.
Sure, mine as well.
Included June. It starts again in the beginning of July. So it's almost 1 year and a half cancelled concerts. That's really a lot.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, I think this is we can take it negatively, but take it also positively. It's a time of reflection. I mean, I'm sure that everyone has done it. I've done it a lot. What is the essence of what we're doing? For whom we're doing it? Do we really need all the time the stage to advance, to learn, to evolve? Are we only performing artists? You know, there are all these questions that I think we should be asking every day, but somehow we fly from one concert to the next and we just never ask. But it has been an interesting time, a challenging time. I hope we learn from it. I don't think we come out and we just only telework, because my husband is ready to kill himself, basically, from that. I mean, I get out of the house, but he doesn't, so, you know, everybody tried to turn to what they wanted less. Electricity less, guards less, building less, teleworking away from people, so we control, you know, less education. I mean, that is the other thing, you know.
There is one thing that I had to learn again, and that I really loved, is the timeless period. So it doesn't really matter, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that's all okay. And if you know how to play today or tomorrow, it's okay. If it's fine tomorrow, that's fine too. After tomorrow, there's another day. And that was somehow, for me, it worked inspiring. Mm-hmm. That was the good part. Not to have this pressure all the time, and just to be able to take your time with different things. I never cooked so much, and
Oh, come on, you're a great cook.
yes, but it became better.
Oh, I'm getting an invitation, I hope, soon.
Yes. No, but I think this is really, for me, it was true to have this timeless period. And it also made it possible to transfer it to the students who are used to pressure from one exam to the next exam, from one class to the next class, but also to see the big bowl. And it will be fine, and that's absolutely the truth. It will be fine. You know my expression that I always say before concert. In the end, it will be fine.
It will all be fine.
And if it's not fine, it's not the end.
And on this, I think we end, because I like that. I really like this. Raphaella, thank you very, very much for sharing the stage with me today.
Thank you,
with my
Antigoni.
students. It's been a real pleasure and a great inspiration, as always.
Oh, thank you. And
I would hug you, but I can't. Thank you.